Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to try to make this video quick. It is over a smaller build, so it should be quick anyway. First and foremost, I do want to thank everybody for liking, subscribing, interacting with me in the comments, helping me boost up in Al Gore's rhythm. It's all very kind of you, and I appreciate the hell out of it. Plus, it gives me a sense of motivation to continue to do this. Not that I don't like doing this, but if y'all didn't like it, I would probably be less motivated to do it. So again, thank you all for your support, all the feedback, and all the times you guys have educated me. I wish I had looked up what the word is for the building where you blow glass. Giggity. But I'm just going to call it the glass blowing building. The glassery, the blowery, that doesn't sound as appropriate. But we're going to be showing that off today. And there's not going to be as many lessons to teach in this one as there are in my other videos, because most of it would just be me repeating myself, and I've already repeated myself a bunch. So this is mostly just going to be me showing off the things specifically I did in this building to facilitate making it look like it's a glass blowing building. But as another aside, 122 is here. I've not updated yet, but once I do, we're going to have to make some changes to our windmill situation, which might result in some other changes to some other things that have already been shown off in other videos. If I say other one more time. But if there's anything that you've seen in the other videos, it's probably been changed or is going to be changed. Like, even the bedroom in my house is different. You look behind me here. My forge area from right here is fucking gone. There's a chessboard there. So a lot of stuff is different. So if there's anything you see that's different, that you want to see what is different, let me know. It'll give me a reason to make a tour of that again. But ultimately, once this base is finished, my wife and I are going to do one final big tour of the entire estate, and then you'll see the final form of everything. But there's a lot of cool changes we've done. It just sucks that I made the videos, like I made a tour of the house. I have since changed the absolute fuck out of the inside of the house. So it's entirely different. So it'd be, I guess, another reason for me to make a second video. But maybe I should have thought about it in hindsight so I could do some better before and afters. It's just the changes are really cool, and I'm going to have to show them off. I just wish I had waited till I was done with everything before making these videos, if that makes sense. But I digress. I've rambled enough. Let's try to make this quick. We're going to fly on over to the glass blowing building, the hash slinging slasher, and we're going to showcase that bad boy. So we're over here by the factory. As you can see, a lot of stuff is different. If you keep up with me on Reddit, I've already posted like teasers and stuff for a lot of the changes, and like I've been showing off my signs and posters and stuff like that. And I think I've done that a little bit on the YouTube, but I will be showing all this off eventually. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But you can quite clearly see that this area is entirely different from the last time I came through here. So I had a space here that I needed to fill, giggity, and so we erected, giggity, this structure. It's just a rectangle. You could really make this however you wanted. I did do this roof thing like with an A-frame. I hate that this height didn't line up, so I ended up chiseling this bit to make it look like it bleeds in there more, but I'm still really not happy with that. I wish this had worked out. I should have done this on an even and not an odd, and then the A-frame of it, the crest, the peak, the ridge, would have been lined up. So a little bit of hindsight. I do think the front of this roof is interesting, and I think having it not just a rectangular roof A-frame, rectangular A-frame roof is better. Wow, I really fucked that sentence up. Cut. I think that having a roof with bits coming off of it is more interesting than just having a straight run A-frame roof with a gable at each end. Is that better? I think I did that better. We'll keep that take in. So I just wanted to have a fiddly bit going over the front. I just kind of messed up right there. So it helps to plan out a little bit. Just winging it all the time like I do definitely creates complications and problems. But I went with the grayish daub here. I think this is weathered brown daub, perhaps weathered daub, and then the clinker bricks, which because they're a darker color, but the daub is lighter than the clinker brick. So I think it's kind of the same color as the grout, the mortar in between the bricks, and so I just felt like that was just a really good color combination. I'm also colorblind though, so my perceptions of hues is entirely different. But contrast is super key. Regardless of how you interpret colors, contrast, I would dare say, is like universal, like how dark or light something is. So that's a good rule of thumb. If you're not sure what color to do something, operate off of contrast. Color theory can be hard, but darks and lights play off of each other the same way every time. I'm also just a huge fan of using, and again, it's kind of cheap, the dark and light mud brick for most of my foundational uh, brickwork and masonry. So there's the foundation that is the mud brick, and then you have the layer of the clinker brick, which bleeds into the chimneys, and then that goes right up into the daub, which goes all the way up to the cable, or not cable, gable. And then I could have made that wood or something, but I just did it daub all the way up. And then again, chiseling my A-frame edges to make them feel less like a block of shingle hanging off the side and more like they're shingles, attached to this building. Just making things look grounded and attached and supported really goes a long way for believing like the realism, the expectation of the build. And then again, I like mixing the different colored bricks. Maybe I should have gone without the orange here, or maybe even the red. But I felt like having the red, I felt like having the orange without the red wasn't a good gradient with the clinker, and I felt like having the red without the orange would have made the red roof look weird. And with the colors I'd already picked for the wall, I really felt like I had to go with red or orange for the roof. So ultimately, I did this kind of color palette gradient thing where the orange is lighter towards the top, but there is still some red going up. It doesn't ever actually get 100% orange. And then as you go down, it gets darker into the clinker brick. And so, again, my thought process is that the rain washes dirt and grime down. A lot of the ground is dirty, and people are walking around, animals are moving, all that stuff. So grime is going to be mostly towards the bottom in my internal lore here. So I try to have the darker color towards the bottom, and they get lighter up towards the top whenever I do gradients like these. And I think with brickwork especially, it's super important to do the polychromal approach where you have the different colored bricks mixed in, because it helps make the texture not look so flat. Like if all of this structure right here was just one color brick, a lot of the curves and cuts and details would get lost. It would just look like a flat vector of the brick. And so having the different colors allows for more depth and contrast. Bring that back into fold here. I do also like having a firewall in the building that the chimneys are set into and against with the furnaces versus just having these brick chimneys just poking out of an entirely daub wall. So having this fire break, this firewall right there just seemed, to me, that seemed like the right move. Does it like structurally make sense? I think it does. But is it as appealing as just having a daub wall? I think it looks better than just having the daub wall, but you might disagree. So if you do this, feel free to, spice this up any kind of way you want to. I have a hard time telling people how to do stuff. I can just really show you like this is how I did it, and then you could take it or leave it and adapt it. But if you do adapt it, or if you exactly replicate something I do here, I would love to see it. I think that's so cool. Somebody on Reddit redid my chessboard in their own colors, and it looks fucking awesome. I love it. I love seeing that shit. So if there's anything you see here that you want to replicate or make your own version of or adapt in some way, like tag me in a video or a post or just send me a DM or however the hell the internet shit works these days. I would really honestly love to see that kind of stuff. But the structure itself could really be any building that I've shown off here, because this could be a blacksmith. This could just be a storage shed. And I guess in a way it is kind of just a storage shed. But this building could be anything, no matter what shape you make it. Now, there are some visual cues already, like having a chimney. Like, something's getting cooked or smelted or baked here, right? Like, that would be the implication. If you have one furnace, it's less clear if it's not a house. But if you have multiple chimneys sticking up, odds are it's not a domicile. It's probably some kind of production area. So there's just all kinds of things with the structure that could tell you what something is. But the main conversation piece is going to be the decoration, the little piece of storytelling that you lay around. So with my intent being this a glass blowing building, are you telling me a building blew this glass? Yes, I am. A sign on the front. My wife made a sign with like a beer bottle on it or something for our distillery, and it looks super dope and cute, and I loved it. And it kind of inspired me to just start making signs. So now all of our buildings have signs. And this one just has like a glass chalice or cup or something, a vase maybe. on an orange background. So that way, like, even if all this stuff wasn't working, that should tell you that something to do with glass or dishware, at least, is happening in this building. That should be at least communicated to you directly, openly, with the sign. So although the sign is showing you, I would argue this is the same thing as being told and not shown. Now, if I had a sign here that said glass blowing, that would be even more direct. And maybe I should have something like that, a plaque with it that said like ye old glass blower or something. But I feel like that's sufficient, especially coupled with I have these racks out here that hold sheets of glass that I've chiseled. And then I have the lead bricks, which actually get, or ingots, which actually get used in the production of the lead paned windows. Lead lined windows, I think, is more accurate. But I had to look up like the glass blowing process because I did understand some of it. Like I've been on field trips, I've been in the buildings, I've looked at YouTube videos. But like window pane sizes were often limited by how big a roll of glass you could blow, giggity, and then cut open and flatten out. And often you would get bigger windows by doing that thing where you panel them. So you'd have these modern windows still have it. Some of them do, but I think they're kind of fake. I think it's a solid pane of glass, and then they just put a wood frame over it. But you'd have like a grid of wooden slats that the smaller square glass panes slip into, and then you would put those panes together to form one bigger window. And then you would put that into the hole on the side of the building. Nowadays, with modern glass blowing techniques, you can get a big-ass solid pane of glass, basically however big you fucking want. I think the difference is that back then they were blowing the glass, giggity, and then cutting it and rolling it out, and that has all kinds of issues and stuff with it, and plus it wouldn't be the same thickness everywhere and all these other concerns. But I think at some point maybe they changed the material they were using, like the type of glass being used, and so they could melt it or smelt it, get it all boiling, and then pour it out and let it dry, or I guess cool, let it dry. Same fucking thing. Let it solidify into a pane of glass, and then if they wanted to, like, I guess at some point they would cut that up into smaller ones if they needed. But you could get a much bigger, solid, more even pane of glass by pouring. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm getting this wrong entirely, and you know more about glass blowing than I do, please enlighten me in the comments. I love learning about stuff like that. And in fact, as soon as I get done making this video, because I'm going to run with this for austerity's sake, but once I get done, I'm going to go look up the glass blowing process again so I can correct myself. But I felt it prudent to have multiple forms of conveying the technique. So we have different sizes of panes of glass, and then we have these trays, these metal trays that are on these metal stands or racks, so you can pour out the glass and let it solidify, or maybe you have cut open a giant roll of glass and are flattening it out, and that's what these tools are up here to facilitate. Maybe you cut them up into smaller panes like I was talking about to make the windows, but this is just supposed to convey to you that this is hot glass, you know, being used and cooling down. And then plus it also serves as a storage space for various tools that we might need. Because that's something about the way I build as well, is although this, because the crafting in this game happens in a grid, and that will change, but there's a lot of space in the crafting processes for different resources and materials where the crafting is super simple. So in my mind, a good opportunity to get creative and make the build feel grounded and lived in and real is to imply that the crafting process is much more complicated. So because glass making in here is really as simple as taking quartz rock and combining it with sticks in your asshole and making a glass block, you could also smelt quartz and olivine and stuff like that to make glass. So that's why the furnaces are there, for one, and the storage for those resources is there. So it serves as a place to store resources related to glass making, and then it also has the limited production area to have glass made. So if I didn't have all my decorative pieces, this build, for one, could be smaller, more resource efficient, but it would also look more bare and less interesting and less thought out, less full. Having the different stages and implications of the production really brings it to life. It's like stage play logic. Like you gotta make the flatness of your theater stage look like a city or a farm or a war zone or whatever it is your play is set. You have to set your stage. And every building that you build in this game, I view it as a stage, mostly because I am now showing it off to people, but also because I like making pretty things for my wife and she likes looking at this stuff. But if I was just playing this game from a pure survival efficiency standpoint, a lot of what I'm talking about is pointless. But obviously, the dual appeal of this game being a survival game is that you also get to build shit. And that's what makes it so fucking cool. So, in the spirit of that, when you build your building, you should also decorate it. Now, maybe some of these steps are going to be actually implemented as actual mechanics in the game later. That would be awesome. And then I could take some of this stuff out and replace it with the actual crafting utensils. But as of right now, a lot of this is decorative. You got the bloomeries for smelting the different glasses. You have storage down there for the fuels, and you have storage up there for the different like quartz and olivine and whatever else it is that you use to make the fucking glasses. I don't have none of it stocked up there right now. And I have stoolage. I have stoolage does not sound healthy or nice at all. I have storage for the tools. None of these actually get used in the process, but they're here in case we need them for some other reason. So it's a tool shed that also serves as a place to blow glass. Giggity. But you don't have to do that. That's just how I do it. But I feel like you'd have a lot of empty space here, or would have to chisel a lot more implication pieces if you didn't make some actual use of it with the storage. And if you're going to make it look like a glass blowing building, because you want to build one, you might as well actually have some glass blowing, or some glass making, rather, giggity, going on. And so that's what this is. And I have some hooks, or metal posts, poles, stabs here to facilitate like gooping the liquid glass and either blowing it or rolling it out onto this tray. Maybe these metal rods are used for that. Maybe this is a frame to pour glass into. But it's all about implication of the form and function being combined with the actual form and the actual function. And I guess that's really just my theory on building in this game. So maybe you don't get as much from that, but maybe you get a little bit from seeing the different things that I have built. Maybe you like the way I've chiseled this arch, and so you'll just take a screenshot right here so you can replicate the measurements and the cuts. Maybe you didn't think about chiseling glassware to put on a custom shelf, so maybe you'll do that. Maybe you didn't even think about having a glass blowing building at all, and so now you'll have a place to just make glass separate from where you're blooming your irons. So just different things to think about, different things to observe and look at and consider. And again, maybe there's something in the background here that inspires you. And so if that's the case, let me know, and I'll do a deeper dive on whatever that is in the background that caught your eye, and we'll talk about it some more. Hopefully I've been as quick as I've wanted to with this, and that you guys are getting something out of it. As always, thank you all for the support, feedback, any corrections or educational material you can provide me on whatever topic we're talking about in all the videos. I always love learning. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm not sure when the next video will be. I am kind of hit or miss. I keep saying once a week, but it seems more like once every 2 weeks. So I'll see if I can pick up the pace for you. No idea what the next video will be, but tune in next week on Dragon Ball Z and we'll find out.